We weep for our country. We weep for Nigeria. We weep for our country. Which way, Nigeria? Which way to go? As a child, this song resounded. And now as an adult, the same question persists. When you look at the happening at the gate of the National Assembly today between Senator Natasha and the people who were positioned to restrict her, you weep for this country. You shake your head to the rot our country has become. First, some might condemn her courage or the action of going to enforce the rights granted her by the court on her own. They will say it will amount to provocation. They will say it will breed the contention we saw and probably exposing her to a possible harm, danger, considering the nature of the politics played in our country. But the answer is that the lawlessness of those who mind our institutions have made it inevitable for Nigerians to, on their own, begin to enforce their rights. Normally, there should be an organogram of activity in enforcing rights of citizens, agencies who are committed to it and seeing to it that they don't have to do it themselves. But when they are in cahoots, when they are united, unanimous in their shenanigans and lawlessness, what do you expect? No one of them, not one of the institutions, not one of the powers of the state in the legislature, in the executive, in the judiciary, calling the other to order. None of them is insisting that the right things be done. None of them is ensuring that breaking the order in the society doesn't come from them. Lawbreakers calling themselves lawmakers. Content creators, full-time content creators calling Nigerians content creators. They make content for Nigerians to show to the world by their actions, constantly putting Nigerians on the edge to begin to fight for themselves. Conduit pipes of morality. Warehouses of decadence. Incorrigible, consistent, serial, stiff-necked lawbreakers parading themselves as lawmakers. Unanimous in criminality and their grandstanding, pulling down every unit of our national cohesion. Caterpillars to nation building. The executive are rascally. The legislature having an overbloated sense of what and becoming the law themselves. And the judiciary, nothing to write home about. That group that will be contested by demons and the devil, whose carcasses, when they are gone, will be contested, dragged by the demons and the devil himself. That situation where the forces of darkness will welcome them with all joy because of the many lives they have destroyed by their decision and their high-handedness.
You want to know? You should be ashamed of yourself.
They are waiting for the court to make categorical order, to place an order. Well, Senator Natasha had earlier today tutored them on the forms in which court judgments can come.
You see, pursuant to Section 318 of the 1999 Constitution, it is very clear that decisions of a court comes in 5 ways. It could be a judicial decree, it could be a sentence, it could be an order, it could be a conviction, and it could be a recommendation. So an order is just one of the 5 decisions that a judge can pronounce over any case, and mine tilts towards a recommendation. Now, you would think that a recommendation is a voluntary. That means the Senate has either they comply or they have the right not to comply. But I'd like to clarify that again. If you go further to the to Section 287, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, again, it actually specifies in clear terms that decisions, that's any of these 5 decisions of any of the possible on every authority. So what that means in simple terms, whether they mention that the Justice Binta Nyako or the Federal High Court made an order or made a sentence or made a judicial decree or a recommendation, whatever, however they want to interpret the literal words, interpretation of the words, it is still a decision of a court and it is still binding on the National Assembly.
But they are waiting for one order from the court, even when the court has tried to give a semblance of justice.
So what the Senate is telling us is that they went to court to secure a recommendation. And even at that, okay, since you went to court, because we know that the court resolves cases, issues, tussle between 2 parties, which the result will now be the solution to whatever is the bone of contention. So assuming you even went to the court just to get a recommendation, you still don't want to utilize that recommendation. But let it be known that nobody goes to court just to get a recommendation that he will now deliberate whether or not to apply. Courts give judgments. That is the last option for conflict resolution. Now, let it also be known that the judgment of the courts is binding on the National Assembly because they have been talking about the issue of separation of powers. No entity goes against itself. The separation of power does not involve high-handedness, does not involve using your house rules to relegate national laws, to relegate the judicial decision. House rules are miniature rules. They come under bigger rules. When it comes to national laws, the subordinate laws will bow. So the house rules cannot take superiority over the court. In fact, for the fact that the court punctured the behavior of that rule makes it unacceptable. And even if you want to appeal the judgment the courts gave you in a situation where you don't find it favorable, you will still have to start by implementing the judgment of the lower courts. If by your appeal that judgment is quashed, annulled, then you start again from there. It doesn't matter the privileges you have enjoyed or missed by implementing the judgment of the first court. All the decision of the first court will now be annulled if at all the superior court finds it not worthy, or the other way around, if he finds it worthy, it will be sustained. So they have to first start by implementing the first court judgment by allowing the senator resume her constitutional duty.
That brings me to the judiciary. The same people that will now make judgments that give double interpretation, such that the defendants can interpret it to their favor and the litigant will also interpret to their favor. They stay on the fence in the middle where it is take your courts, the other person can take their courts, throw the bones to the dogs and let them battle with the spirit. This confusion that this judiciary has constantly created is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. They are no longer giving solutions to the problems that are brought before the courts. They compound the problem. They become complicit. Anyway, I have said earlier that they are in cahoots, unanimous, in tearing down the fabrics of our nation. They are never perturbed by the problems they create. They are never disturbed by the tension they create in the country owing to the kinds of judgments they make. Now, this grandstanding by the Senate will not help anyone, The question now is it still about disciplining one of your own or helping your supposed leader punish a rival, punish his colleague whom he feels has given him a dirty blow, tarnished his image? If you ask me, this is vendetta. Because we have come to see over the edges that there have been many offenses on the floor of the Senate that were never treated half the way this one is being treated. So our lawmakers do not find it proper, nor deem it fit to put an end to this drama, to this shenanigans, to this trauma they bring Nigerians on the international stage. If you have run an entity for a long time and seen the results you have, nothing tells you that you need to review your style. Nothing tells you that the products you've had are direct results of your actions. We, the Nigerian people, condemn in its entirety the behavior of the Senate. Their attacks on this woman, as it amounts to attack on women representation in politics in our country. It also amounts to a higher level of lawlessness and high-handedness, a sense of entitlement that is anti-people, anti-government, anti-national good.